Hello again and welcome to History by Fire. All right, friends, let's take a walk back in time, all the way to 1815. Picture it. Europe is on edge, everyone's holding their breath, and right in the thick of it is Napoleon Bonaparte. Yeah, that Napoleon. The guy who pretty much turned Europe upside down for over a decade. But here's the thing, by 1815, he's on his last legs. He's been exiled, but get this, he escapes. That's right, the guy just walks out of exile like it's nothing, and he's back in the game. And so begins the final showdown, the Battle of Waterloo. So, what's going on here? Well, Napoleon's been making waves for years, right? He's been Emperor of the French, conquered half of Europe, and the other half is shaking in their boots. But after a string of bad decisions and a whole bunch of countries ganging up on him, he's sent packing to the island of Elba in 1814. Problem solved, right? Not quite. See, Napoleon's not the kind of guy to just fade away quietly. Nope, he's got plans. He sneaks back into France in March 1815, and wouldn't you know it, people are thrilled. The soldiers sent to arrest him, they end up cheering and joining his side. In no time, he's marching on Paris, and before you can say Vive l'Empereur, he's the boss again. But Europe isn't about to let him just waltz back into power. No way. The big players, Britain, Prussia, Austria, and Russia, form the Seventh Coalition and get ready to take him down once and for all. Now, Napoleon knows he's in a tight spot. He's got to act fast before these guys can get their armies together. His plan? Hit them hard, hit them fast. Classic Napoleon. He heads north into Belgium where the coalition forces are gathering. His aim is to divide and conquer, smash the British and Prussians before they can join forces. Sounds simple, right? Well, war never is. By June 16th, Napoleon's forces clash with the Prussians at Ligny and the British at Quatre Bras. He wins at Ligny, but here's the catch, he doesn't completely crush the Prussians like he'd hoped. And the British, under the Duke of Wellington, are hanging tough at Quatre Bras. It's like trying to swat a fly that just won't stay still. So 2 days later, on June 18th, 1815, we arrive at the main event, Waterloo. Napoleon, ever the strategist, chooses a battlefield near a little Belgian village called, you guessed it, Waterloo. It's a bit of a muddy mess, thanks to some rain the night before, but Napoleon's confident. He's got around 73,000 men, and he's facing Wellington's 68,000, with about 50,000 Prussians under General Blücher somewhere in the distance. The stage is set, the pieces are in place. It's do or die. The morning of the battle is a bit of a slow burn. Napoleon waits for the ground to dry out a bit. His cannons aren't much use in the mud, you see. Finally, around 11:30 a.m., he gives the order. The French attack begins with an assault on the British and their allies, holding strong positions on ridges and in farms like La Haye-Sainte and Hougoumont. Now, Hougoumont, that's where things get spicy. The French really want this place. It's a stronghold on Wellington's right flank. They throw wave after wave at it, but the British and their allies hold tight. It's like a damned fortress. The fighting there is fierce, hand-to-hand, brutal, and it turns out to be one of those key moments where the whole battle could have gone one way or the other. But despite the French throwing everything but the kitchen sink at it, Hougoumont holds. That's a big win for Wellington right there. Meanwhile, in the center, Napoleon sends in more troops, focusing on La Haye-Sainte. It's this farmhouse right in the middle of the battlefield. The French finally manage to take it after some brutal fighting, but it's not enough to break Wellington's line. The British soldiers, a tough bunch, dig in and refuse to budge. It's like they've got iron in their veins or something. As the day drags on, things start to get dicey for Napoleon. He's looking around and there's no sign of those Prussians, right? Well, little does he know, Blücher's men are marching hard and fast, aiming to link up with Wellington. Napoleon's troops are getting tired and his enemies are closing in. It's like watching a slow-motion car crash. You can see it coming, there's nothing to do but watch. Then, around 4 p.m., the Prussians finally show up. You can almost hear Napoleon's heart sink. First, it's just a few Prussian troops, but then more and more start arriving. They hit Napoleon's right flank at the village of Plancenoit, and suddenly the French are fighting on two fronts. This is bad news, folks. Real bad. Napoleon, ever the gambler, decides to go all in. He orders a massive cavalry charge, around 9,000 horsemen, hoping to smash through Wellington's center. But here's the thing, Wellington's ready. He's set up his infantry in squares like these big human hedgehogs, bayonets bristling out on all sides. The French cavalry charges again and again, but they just can't break those squares. It's like trying to punch through a brick wall, and every time the cavalry pulls back, the British artillery rips into them. It's a bloodbath. By early evening, the battle's turning into a disaster for Napoleon. The Prussians are pouring in, and Wellington, seeing the French faltering, orders a general advance. His men, exhausted but determined, start pushing the French back. It's the beginning of the end, and everyone on the battlefield can feel it. You know that moment when you just know it's all slipping away? That's where Napoleon is now. The final nail in the coffin comes when Wellington unleashes his reserves, including the famous British heavy cavalry, the Scots Greys and others. They smash into the wavering French, who are now completely outnumbered and outmaneuvered. The French Imperial Guard, Napoleon's elite troops, make a last stand. But even they, the soldiers who were supposed to be unbeatable, are eventually overwhelmed. As they retreat, the cry goes up, "La Garde recule." The Guard is retreating. That's when you know it's really over. By nightfall, Napoleon's army is in full retreat, the battlefield littered with thousands of dead and wounded. Napoleon himself is forced to flee, his dreams of empire shattered once and for all. The next day, Wellington and Blücher meet and shake hands on the battlefield, victors in one of history's most decisive battles. And that, folks, is how the curtain fell on Napoleon's reign. The Battle of Waterloo wasn't just a clash of armies, it was a turning point in history. Europe would never be the same. Napoleon would spend the rest of his days in exile on the remote island of St. Helena, far from the battlefields where he once reigned supreme. But for all his faults, and there were plenty, you gotta admit, Napoleon was one hell of a fighter. It took nearly all of Europe to finally bring him down, and even then, he almost pulled off a comeback for the ages. Waterloo, though, that was the day the music stopped for good. So next time you hear someone say it was his Waterloo, you'll know exactly what they mean. It's the end of the line, the final curtain, the big showdown where everything's on the line. Napoleon rolled the dice and lost, and the world's never been quite the same since. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe to History by Fire, share the video with friends, and help the channel grow. Thank you so much.